Welcome to Stab the Dragon Productions for our second annual Canadian Whiskey Tournament, coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas on Saturday, December 27th, 2025, where we are having also a family feud number 3 featuring the Seagram's VO family as part of this second annual Canadian Whiskey Tournament. And today, I think we had a high temperature of about 80 degrees and sunny. But I think the winter cyclone bomb thing is coming tomorrow night. So we'll have some real winter coming up Sunday night and Monday. All right. The rules. I evaluate these whiskeys along the same lines as the reviews that I do to see which whiskey comes out on top on paper. But then we put the whiskeys in a blacked out glass and we do a one-on-one nosing and taste test to see which one I actually like the best. As a bonus, I do try to guess which whiskey is in which glass. And my record there is not too good. So in case of a tie, though, and this has happened, price, value, and availability will determine the winner. So just the facts. These whiskeys are in the Canadian category for sure, but they're owned by an American business, Sazerac. Both of these are 80 proof. They're sold in 750 milliliter bottles, with the gold being labeled as an 8-year-old and the VO is non-age stated. So my best guess for the VO is between a 3 and 6-year-old. The VO just costs $20 and the gold $5 more, $25. History of these two whiskeys. The VO goes back to 1911 or 1913 or 1917, depending on which source you want to follow. The gold only goes back to 1998, so VO for the win as far as history goes. This has been a long-time favorite in the American scene, for sure. Now, bottle, label, and marketing. The VO has got a brown glass, and I like colored glass, but the bottle itself is rather plain, right? And the label is bold, big, and gaudy. All right. The gold, however, is a rather fancy looking bottle, and this is, I call it the Chivas Regal bottle. This is the same kind of bottle that Chivas uses. And the label, and okay, it's clear glass. The label is very similar and yet smaller, less imposing, a little bit more classy. And then you got this little ribbon that's attached there. I don't know who thought that up, but that's a nice, classy touch. Now, for marketing, though, the VO has been around forever, and if you see any ads or internet stuff, it's going to be for VO. I couldn't hardly find anything on the VO Gold, right? So, but which way do I go here? I'm going to go with the gold. I just really like the bottle shape and the less imposing label. So, well, for bottle, label, and marketing, I'm going to go with the gold. Now, appearance, because this is a brown bottle, you can't tell. So I had to pour them into some clear glasses. And really, there's not a whole lot of difference, but the gold was about a half step darker than the regular VO. So not much darker, just a shade, okay? So for appearance, I tend to prefer darker whiskeys, so the gold wins in that category. Now, composition, neither of these do I have a mash bill for, but, you know, the gold is labeled as an 8-year. This is a non-age stated, and all my research, you know, used to be, 100 years ago, used to be a 10-year-old. That's not true anymore. The best I can find is between a 3 and a 6 for VO. But for the gold, it's labeled as an 8, so it wins composition. They're both 40% ABV or 80 proof. So gold for the win there. All right, let's get to the whiskeys. Now, I have blacked out glasses. I've mixed the glasses up, so I do not know which is which. What I will do is start with the nose, left to right. And then if I can detect, and this is a big if I can detect a stronger nose, then I will taste the weaker nose first. Because generally speaking, if you start tasting with a higher ABV or a higher age statement, then that's going to wreck your palate for the lower one. So I'm already making an evaluation off the nose about which is which. Sometimes it doesn't always hold true. So we'll start left. Pleasant nose, not very strong, but I do smell something. Sweet corn, just a hint of spice. Nothing unpleasant, but neither is it a rich nose or deep. The one on the right, less of a nose. All right, I think the one on the right has the lesser nose. So the one on the left wins the nose. Which means we will start sipping with the one on the right. This is a very mild, gentle, simple whiskey. Pleasant. Get just a little bit of sweetness, but not overly sweet. A little bit of corn flavor going on there. In the old days, this was supposedly rye heavy, but I'm always getting a stronger dose of corn with VO. So that's mild, pleasant, sweet. Nothing stands out. A little bit of corn flavor, maybe just a hint of spice. And that explains why VO has been so popular through the years. There's nothing offensive there at all. But if you're looking for strong flavors, which the average drinker really is not, there's nothing strong there that jumps out. It's just a nice, pleasant sipper. All right, let's go to the one on the left that had the stronger nose. Okay, very similar, of course. I'm going to say that one had a little bit richer mouthfeel. Neither of these has a burn. I'm getting a little bit more of the spice note, wood note possibly. But these are so similar. I mean, I could say that I'm getting just a little bit more with that one, and I might just be making that up. I mean, they're obviously brothers. The VO's the older brother, the VO Gold's the younger brother, but bigger, badder, bolder. But I'm going to say the one on the left has got a little bit more taste going on, and the same with mouthfeel, burn, and finish. So I kind of think the one on the left is the better whiskey. But this is not definitive. I mean, this could easily be wrong. Okay, now let's go back to the one on the right. If this is totally flat, then the one on the left, it's bolder flavor will have wrecked the one on the right. I don't know, these are so close. Wow. Okay, I'm going to stick with what I think is the case. I think the one on the left is the better whiskey, but we're talking micro hair difference here. So I'm going to say the one on the left is the winner. And I think the one on the left is gold. So we'll see. Let's see. Gold is glass number 2, and VO plain is glass number 1. It's on the bottom, so you've been able to see that. I have not. So here we go. This is number 2. That is the VO Gold. So I was correct, and this is number 1. So I did properly identify the whiskeys, and I did choose the older and more expensive whiskey. So that's remarkable that my unprofessional palate was able to do that. So we do have a winner. And the question that you have to ask, these were so close, is this, which is $5 more expensive, is it worth the extra $5? You got a $20 whiskey and a $25 whiskey. Is this, it's the winner. I was correct on that. Is it worth the extra $5? Well, for me, I'm going to say yeah, probably, but I would be happy with either. I mean, I don't drink these much, and I probably will not replace them once the bottles are gone. You know, sometimes I give the winner a cocktail. I'm not really going to do that here. Now, the only cocktail that I've really done with these, I think, that's been halfway decent is like with 7-Up or ginger ale. I know for sure that on July 7th, I tried to always have a 7 and 7 using Seagram 7 Crown, right? But that's actually an American whiskey. It's no longer a Canadian whiskey. So, in fact, it's always been an American whiskey. But so VO, it's a pleasant drink, you know, but if you're going to like have a party and get, you know, you want a good basic whiskey at the $20 mark for VO, you may have a little bit better deal than the $25 gold, because the difference between these two is not going to be much. And if all you're doing is you're wanting to provide a cheap well whiskey, then, you know, a $20 whiskey would serve that. But I gotta tell you that that's where, you know, now there's people who like these whiskeys and don't like bourbon. I would much prefer to have Evan Williams at about $15. I mean, you can get Evan Williams bottled in bond for $17 or $18. I'd much rather have that than this. So, you know, but there's people who don't like bourbon because bourbon's a little bit harsh. But what I can say is that for $25, this isn't bad. There's nothing bad here. You know, it's a little bit weak if you're a bourbon drinker or scotch drinker. You know, this is a mild, pleasant, easy sipping whiskey. I can't you know, for a lot of cocktails, I mean, this is not complex enough or bold enough. But for something simple, this would work. So VO Gold is the winner. All right, we will move on from VO now that we've finished this part of the Canadian tournament. And coming up next in the Canadian tournament, I think we're going to look at Black Velvet versus Black Velvet Reserve. For now, though, this is Stab the Dragon out here.